begins by showing a woman named Ecaterina is one of the famous high school teachers in the city where he lives. Coincidentally, Florin, son of Ecaterina, also went to school where he taught. Like a teacher in general, who will always be respected by the students. At that time, all the students welcomed Ecaterina warmly. When entering a classroom, Ecaterina was known as the teacher who has a very high dedication. No wonder students looked comfortable during Ecaterina's lesson. Ecaterina was famous for being religious in her life. No wonder, because Ecaterina was the wife of a priest named Dragons. Dragos always instilled devout religious knowledge into every members of her family. To make a small family, this is the ideal family category. Ecaterina also always let his son to choose his way of life. But different from the father, Dragos tend to force Florin in order to become his successor as pastor later. Although different views in educating children, Ecaterina always reminded her son so as not to disobey orders from Dragos, learning from his own experience. Early on, he knew Dragos. They were both a couple of different religions initially. Then from that, Ecaterina asked Florin to be wise and make your choice later. Even though Ecaterina looks comfortable with dragons, but the truth was that in Ecaterina's heart she felt depressed and limited in life. Socialized. It was seen when Ecaterina had to quibble when asking permission from her husband just to meet friends, as well as activities according to Dragos. It's useless when Ecaterina also needed to have entertainment in your spare time, busyness while teaching, and a lot of homework, which is so draining. Until somewhere, the day Ecaterina met one of her students named Leo. Leo is very active in class, especially when the Ecaterina subjects. She was so enthusiastic to ask things he didn't yet understand to Ecaterina, and at that time Leo's question was a little different than usual. He asked more personal Ecaterina about the beliefs that went this he believes. Honestly, Ecaterina was a little disturbed by Leo's question, until she was confused to answer Leo's question. Not just the sharp question, but Leo's eyes were also sharp towards Ecaterina, as if hinting at his curiosity about Ecaterina. Not just a student in the class. Apparently Leo is also friendly with Florin, his son Ecaterina, until one day, when Leo, who was visiting Florin's house, he was also helping his best friend. Not how long, Leo felt his thirst, quickly went to the kitchen. In Leo's kitchen, looking at Ecaterina, who was busy with kitchen work, Leo suddenly ventured to invite the mother of one child. This does a backflip, but Ecaterina strongly rejected the wishes of this student of hers. In the night, I don't know what's in Ecaterina's brain. She felt wrong about her refusal to Leo earlier, and it happened that Leo was still in his house. Ecaterina took the initiative to drive Leo home. Leo happily accepted the teacher's offer because Leo already knew what he meant and Ecaterina's intention of driving him home. Swiftly, Leo sipped the teacher's bushy cave right in the car. Short story. Ecaterina was visiting her in-law's house, who happened to be celebrating his birthday at the time. Because you want to be valued as a son-in-law. Who cares? But in fact, the in-laws even reminded Ecaterina that she needed to be more serious in educating Florin, his grandchildren, and more protectively chose and sorting out Florin's social style, and because she wanted his grandson to be the successor of their family, which is known for fanaticism towards religion. It suddenly changed the look on Ecaterina's previously relaxed face, the slightly raised forehead on his face. He confirmed, if Florin, given freedom in choosing his own beliefs, heard the words of this son-in-law, suddenly old wounds brought up again about Ecaterina's dark past. While still falling into the backflip activity with his ex-girlfriend first, the scathing words of the in-laws even managed to hurt Ecaterina's little heart because it does not deserve the old disgrace to be revealed again. Ecaterina decided to go home at that time from his father-in-law's house. When Ecaterina got home, she cried her eyes out, because that's how this mother of one child was a little relieved. After being able to vent everything, Ecaterina rushed off, and his departure was to meet Leo. Meet the two of them. Quickly, these two men, looking for a place that can vent desire to backflip, and at that time, Leo managed to explore the jungle of his own teacher's mother without any fear in his heart. And this is like the most beautiful dream. What can happen in Leo's real life? After the backflip activity earlier, Ecaterina decided to go back home. Florin is waiting for the arrival of his mother. Florin asked from anywhere. Mom didn't come home all night. Ecaterina simply replied, if he stayed at his best friend's house named Joey. To be able to convince her son and husband later, Ecaterina asked Joey to convince her family that last night they went together, so that later Ecaterina could be a little relieved if at any time that thing happened. But unfortunately Joey refused Ecaterina's request because he was afraid of Qualit light in front of dragons who were priests. It made Ecaterina even more anxious because she doesn't want his behavior known to his little family. Ecaterina then said something to Leo, that last night's events will be the first and last they did. In the night, Ecaterina and the dragons were worried because Florin has not yet returned home. Without thinking, Ecaterina went straight to Leo's house because she believed that her son, it must have been at Leo's house. And sure enough, Florin was being seen at Leo's house the other night. How surprised Ecaterina was to see Florin, who was drunk, together with Leo. Ecaterina, increasingly annoyed by the bad influence of Leo. Fortunately, her husband did not know about this, and Ecaterina could stop her son's condition, so Ecaterina was a little relieved. Days later, while Leo was at school, seen him showing off a beautiful photo of his with his dream teacher. Ecaterina began to realize that the photo must be Leo with himself, that Leo had captured on his old cell phone. It turned out that Leo deliberately took a photo together while doing a backflip with a beautiful teacher. He used that picture as his trump card. Keep things like this going. Leo's efforts paid off. Ecaterina looked anxious when she found their shared photos. At night, Leo imagined Ecaterina's beautiful face. He immediately called his dream teacher. Leo requested that Ecaterina could meet him to do backflip. For not wanting to hear repulsion words, Leo got straight to the point. If Ecaterina refused, then their secret. Leo told Ecaterina's husband. Not long after, Ecaterina went straight to Leo's house by asking permission to visit his best friend Joey as an excuse to go fulfill his promise to Leo. Until Ecaterina arrived at Leo's house, she was so surprised to see a romantic dinner, which is not Ecaterina ever got during her married life. But Ecaterina realized that this should not be allowed to drag on. She asked Leo not to disturb her life anymore, and asked to forget everything that has happened. Feel annoyed by the words of this beautiful teacher, Leo immediately ambushed him to warm up immediately before the backflip occurs. But it was Ecaterina's determination that wanted to end it all. He firmly rejected the wishes of this student, and immediately left Leo, without caring about Leo's threat to him. The next day, the atmosphere at school is not as usual, where when Ecaterina flashed in front of the students, all the students smiled, strange as if teasing this beautiful teacher mother. And not how long, Ecaterina was called into the principal's room, like lightning struck in broad daylight. Ecaterina was surprised when the principal informed that Leo had shared a picture of Ecaterina with himself to the WhatsApp groups of the whole class. Therefore, the principal called Ecaterina to his room to determine whether it was him or not. At the same time asking, did Ecaterina have a relationship with a student named Leo? Even though there was a photo, it was clear that it was him. Ecaterina still did not admit and excused that it was a prank from the student. He also has nothing to do with Leo, said firmly from Ecaterina's sweet lips. Long story short, when coming home from school, Ecaterina received a voice message from Leo, who say that all activities flipped behind them. Leo had revealed to Ecaterina's husband, but Leo didn't tell Dragos about who he is. He asked for dragons and Ecaterina for meet him later on the edge of the cliff that Leo Sharelok because she wants to ended his life in front of the person he loved so much. Not only is Leo's message to this beautiful teacher's mother, she told Ecaterina to be honest with her husband, that it all started because of Ecaterina, who asked first to do a backflip together. And Leo wanted to see Ecaterina admit it all in front of Dragos, also himself, until Ecaterina's common sense began to realize to uncover. This is all he kneels. Apologize with deep regret to Dragos. If he had done a backflip with someone else. Hearing the words that came out of his wife's lips, Dragos too, so pretentious that she had to be taken to the hospital because he was unconscious when he knew the truth from his wife. While on the other, Leo remains unanimous about his decision to meet the Father in heaven by jumping from the top of the cliff, and the movie was finished.